Jai Hind, dear children. Last class we discussed about economics chapter sectors of the Indian economy. So, in this chapter we already completed topics like a interdependent relation between three sectors of Indian economy, in which we studied about the interrelated connection or link between the three main sectors of our Indian economy, like the primary sector, otherwise known as agriculture related sector, secondary sector, otherwise known as industry related sector, and tertiary sector, otherwise known as a service related sector or service sector. Then we studied about gross domestic product or GDP, in which we measure the final goods and products produced in a particular year to know which sector is producing more in terms of economic development. Then the next topic we studied is the historical changes in sectors. In this topic we studied the historical change or shift in the three sectors over the last 30 years. Rising importance of tertiary sector in production. We studied this topic with the help of four main reasons, like including several new basic services in tertiary sector. We make a lot of growth in the tertiary sector. The second reason is there will be a development of agriculture and industry, and with the help of this development in agriculture, that means the primary sector, and industry the secondary sector, the tertiary sector is having a large development, a growth. Then the third one is, as income level rises, people want more services which belong to the privatization area. So this also leads to the rising importance of tertiary sector. And the fourth one is when the information and communication technology is included in the tertiary sector, it leads to a large growth of development in the tertiary sector with the help of foreign exchange also. So these are the four main reasons that led to the rising importance of tertiary sector in production. Where are most of the people employed describes about the problem of unemployment, especially about underemployment or disguised unemployment, which led to the stunned growth of our Indian economy. The next topic we studied is how to create more employment. We discussed about Manrega adopted by government in 2005 to overcome the problem of unemployment in rural and urban areas. And also we studied about the various provisions included in Manrega related to right to work, especially about the 100 days of work, all that. So today we are going to study in detail about the other two sectors of our Indian economy, which were divided on the basis of employment activities and some other conditions and activities in the economy. They are organized and unorganized sector. So today we are going to study in detail about organized and unorganized sector in our Indian economy. So what is an organized sector and what are the main features of an organized sector that we are going to study in a detail. Organized sectors covers those enterprises or place of work where the terms of employment are regular and therefore people have assured work. So once again, what is an organized sector? Organized sectors are those sectors which covers those enterprises or place of work where all the terms of employment are regular and people have assured work in that area. That can be called as an organized sector. Now we are going to study in detail about the various features of organized sectors. So these organized sectors are registered under the control of government and they have to follow its rules and regulations. That means they have to follow the rules and regulations put forward by government in various laws, such as the Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Shops and Establishment Act. So once again, these organized sectors are registered under the control of government and have to follow its rules and regulations, which are given in various laws such as Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, and Shops and Establishment Act. It is called organized because it has some formal process and procedure. So once again, these organized sectors are called organized. Why? Because it has some formal process and procedures. The third feature is that the workers in the organized sector, that means the working population in the organized sector, they enjoy security of employment. That means we are having full job security in this organized sector. So once again, the workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment. The next one is the workers in the organized sector are expected to work only a fixed number of hours. That means they are not having any extra workload like that. They are having a fixed time for the work and they can complete it at that time. They don't have to work for extra time. That is the main feature of the organized sector. Workers, they are always free. They are expected to work only a fixed number of hours. If the workers work more in organized sector, they have to be paid overtime by the employer. It is not going on in other sectors. So, if the workers in the organized sector, if they are working more, they have to be paid for their overtime by the employer. Is also one of the main feature and the positive feature of this organized sector. The workers in the organized sector, they get paid leaves, payment during holidays, provident funds and gratuity. So all these were the benefits enjoyed by the workers in the organized sector. They are having paid leaves, payment during holidays, provident funds and gratuity. Workers in the organized sector are supposed to get all medical benefits, and under some laws also the factory managers has to ensure facilities like drinking water and safe working environment. They are the basic facilities a worker want to have in his working place. So workers in the organized sector are supposed to get medical benefits, and under some laws the factory manager has to ensure facilities like drinking water and a safe working environment to the workers. Another feature of the organized sector is that the workers in the organized sector are 100% safeguarded by the government. That means these workers, when they are retired, they are just having the benefit of pension. So, another important feature of the organized sector is that the workers in the organized sector, they are enjoying the benefit of pensions after retirement. The organized sector offers jobs that are the most sought after in our society. That means the organized sector, they are offering jobs that are the most sought after. What is the meaning of the term sought after? That means in great demand, isn't it? These jobs in the organized sector that is in great demand or of very good quality. So people all are in need of these types of jobs in the organized sector. Examples of organized sectors are banks, railways, insurance industries, then central government employees. All these are some of the most important examples of organized sector. So once again, which are the main examples of organized sector? Banks, railways, insurance industry, central government employees, etc. But apart from all these positive features, one of the negative feature that we are facing in recent time related to the organized sector is that the employment opportunities in the organized sector is expanding very slowly. So, One of the main problem faced by the organized sector in recent years is that the organized sector have been expanding very slowly. Next, we want to study what is an unorganized sector and what are the main features of unorganized sector. What is an unorganized sector? Unorganized sectors are those sectors which consist of small and scattered units and which are largely outside the control of the government. So once again, what is an unorganized sector? And unorganized sectors are those sectors which consist of small and scattered units and which are largely outside the control of the government. Like in organized sector, unorganized sectors are also having not that much of rules and regulations, but they are also having some rules and regulations. But what happens is that in unorganized sectors, they are not at all following these rules and regulations. That means there is no strict in following the rules and regulations. So another important feature of the unorganized sector is that these unorganized sectors are not following the rules and regulations. Next feature of unorganized sector is that employment is not secure in unorganized sector. That means there is no job security in this unorganized sector. When we compare with organized sector, they are having job security, but here in this unorganized sector, the workers, they are not at all having any job security. That is another important feature. There is no security in employment in the unorganized sector. Another important feature of the unorganized sector is that there is no fixed working hours. That means the workers, they are that much exploiting in this unorganized sector, because sometimes 24 hours they want to work in this unorganized sector. So another important feature of the unorganized sector is that there is no fixed working hours. Jobs in unorganized sectors are low paid and often not regular also. So another important feature and the defect of these unorganized sectors is that these jobs are low paid and often not regular. In unorganized sector, there is no provisions for overtime work and paid leaves, holidays, leave due to sickness. That means the workers in the unorganized sector, their numbers are increasing day by day. But what happens is that no benefits they are getting from these unorganized sectors. That means no provision is there for overtime work, for paid leaves, then holidays, leave due to sickness, all that. Workers in the unorganized sector always want to depend on the whims of the employer, because people can be asked to leave without any reason in this unorganized sector, and this problem is going on day by day, is increasing day by day, because when there is less work, such as during some seasons, some people may be asked to leave, mainly in agriculture sector, all that areas. So the workers in this unorganized sector, they want to depend a lot on the whims of the employer. In short, an unorganized sector is one which is not registered under government, and they are not having any fixed terms of employment. So once again, what is an unorganized sector? An unorganized sector is one which is not registered and which is not having any fixed terms of employment. Examples of unorganized sectors are plantation laborers, handloom workers, fishermen, weavers, toddy tappers, beady workers and leather workers. Once again, the examples of unorganized sectors are plantation laborers, handloom workers, fishermen, weavers, toddy tappers, beady workers and leather workers. With the help of two examples in your textbook related to organized and unorganized sector, it will be more clear to you about the features or differences between organized and unorganized sector. One example is related to organized sector, that is the example of Kanda. As she works in an unorganized sector, she enjoys all those benefits enjoyed by a worker in an unorganized sector. But the second example related to unorganized sector, that is the example of Kamal. He works in an unorganized sector, so he faces a lot of problems and troubles faced by all those workers in an unorganized sector. Next topic in this chapter we want to study is how to protect workers in the unorganized sector. We know that in unorganized sector, these workers, they are facing a lot of problems, troubles, exploitations, everything. So how we can? That means how the government want to take some steps, some rules and laws to safeguard the workers in this unorganized sector. We already studied that workers in the unorganized sector were working in an unhealthy atmosphere. How they are working in an unhealthy atmosphere? Because they are not having any job security, no fixed hours of works, no fixed salary, no extra benefits, nothing. So as a result of all these, the workers, they were exploited a lot by the employer. So as the unorganized sector is not providing any benefits, then also many entrepreneurs, they are trying to change their entrepreneurship from organized to unorganized sector. This is a recent trend we can see in the organized sector. Because the organized sectors offers jobs that are the most sought after, that means that are in great demand. But the employment opportunities in the organized sector have been expanding slowly. Because the employers in the organized sector, they want to shift their enterprises to unorganized sector, because in organized sector they want to follow the rules and regulations given by government in the taxation process and various other laws to protect the laborers. So they want to shift to unorganized sector. As a result, a large number of workers in the organized sector were forced to enter to unorganized sector. With all drawbacks of unorganized sector like low wages, no job security, exploitation everywhere and no benefits also. But they were forced to enter to unorganized sector. From 1990s, we can see another common phenomena, that the workers in the unorganized sector losing their jobs in a large numbers. So, in order to overcome all these problems in the unorganized sector, only the government can take initiative steps to overcome all these problems of the workers in the unorganized sector, both in rural areas and in urban areas. Next, we want to study the condition of workers, especially those workers in the unorganized sectors in rural areas. In rural areas, the workers who are in need of government help were the landless agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers, artisans, which includes weavers, blacksmith, carpenters, goldsmith. These need a lot of help because they were exploited a lot in the society, and nearly 80% of our rural household consist of small and marginal farmers. So, our government want to take serious measures to protect these rural unorganized workers. Now we are going to study some of the steps taken by the government to help the workers from the exploitation in the unorganized sector, especially in rural areas. The first step taken by the government is they fix the minimum wages rate of each and every worker in the unorganized sector. At the same time, a fixed working hour also is taken to help the workers from exploiting them in 24 hours by the employer. So the first main step taken by the government to help the workers in the unorganized sector is fixing the minimum wages rate and fixing the working hours also. The government can also provide cheap loans to the self-employed people. That means if the self-employed people are giving cheap loans, that means their interest is very less. That type of loans were given to these types of people, which is very beneficial for them. So the government was also providing cheap loans to the self-employed people in rural areas. Apart from all these new ideas, the government can also provide cheap and affordable basic services like free elementary education, healthcare facilities, and food security to all the workers in unorganized sector in rural areas. So in that way also government can help the workers in the unorganized sector. So once again, government can provide cheap and affordable basic services like education, health and food to the workers in the unorganized sector. Government want to have timely delivery of seeds to help farmers in rural areas, because most of the population in rural areas they depend on agriculture, and if they are delivering the seeds on time, and if the government is giving them some benefits and to deliver the seeds in low cost like that, it's very helpful for the farmers. The next one is if the government is providing agriculture inputs, storage facilities and marketing outlets to farmers in rural areas, it will help them to produce a lot. At the same time, our country will be having a food security. At the same time, we should have an economic development to the society and to the nation. So the government they want to provide agriculture inputs, storage facilities and marketing outlets to the workers in unorganized sectors, especially to the farmers in the unorganized sector in rural areas. Like in rural areas, in urban areas also, workers are facing a lot of problems in the unorganized sector. This includes peoples like small-scale industrial workers, casual workers, street vendors, rag pickers, workers in the construction sites, all that. So government as in rural areas, in urban areas also, they want to take some steps to protect the workers from this exploitation. So now we are going to study about the steps taken by the government to help workers in the unorganized sector, especially in urban areas. So as a first step, the government can provide support in procuring of raw materials to the small-scale industries which help them. That means the workers in the unorganized sectors in urban areas in marketing of goods. So once again, government can provide support in procuring of raw materials to the small-scale industries which help them in marketing of goods. Government needs to keep a track of the unorganized sector operating and must try to regulate them. That means the government want to have a control on the unorganized sector. They want to make the unorganized sector to have the rules and regulations, to follow the rules and regulations strictly. Then only 100% there will be some safeguarding to the workers in the unorganized sector. So next step the government is carrying on is to create awareness among the workers or laborers in the unorganized sector with the help of the local communities about the schemes of the government. For example, Manrega. So with the help of the local communities in their local colloquial language, if the workers and laborers having a deep knowledge about whatever schemes and programs carried out by the government to help them to overcome their problems, then only they can make use of it in the proper way. So apart from these three main ideas or steps taken by the government in the unorganized sector, especially in urban areas, you also can write the points. That means what all steps taken by the government in the rural areas to help the farmers or the workers or the laborers in the unorganized sector, like fixing of minimum wages rate and fixing working hours, then providing cheap loans to them, then also providing cheap and affordable basic services like education, healthcare, food security, then timely delivery of seeds to the farmers, and also providing agriculture inputs, storage facilities, marketing outlets, etc. Apart from these two categories, the majority of workers belong to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and backward communities, also facing all these problems. Apart from low wages and irregular work, they also face social discrimination. So, protection and support to these workers in the unorganized sector is very important, not only for economic development but also for social development. So, our government want to take serious steps, measures, and laws to safeguard these categories of peoples in the society. The last topic we want to study in this chapter is the division of sector on the basis of ownership. So, on the basis of ownership, sectors in Indian economy are divided into two. They are public sectors and private sectors. Public sectors are those sectors or institutions in which the government own most of the assets and provide all the services. So once again, what are public sectors? Public sectors are those sectors or institutions in which the government owned most of the assets and provide all the services. The main examples of public sectors are military, law enforcement, railway, infrastructure facilities, which includes construction of public roads, bridges, water supply, telecommunication, all that. Then post office, public transport, public education, healthcare, and those working for the government. So once again, example for public sectors are military, law enforcement, railway, infrastructure facilities, which includes construction of public roads, bridges, water supply, telecommunication, and post office, public transport, public education, healthcare, and those working for the government. One of the important feature of the public sector is that most of the activities in public sector depend on services rather than profit motive. So once again, most of the activities in the public sector depend on services rather than profit motive. In public sector, another benefit is that the government control both its management and the functioning. So once again, one of the main benefit or feature of the public sector is that the government controlled both its management and functioning. Public sector owe accountability to people as they are funded through public money. That means most of the public sector's activities were taken controlled by government with the help of the taxes they collected from the public. So they owe accountability to people as they are funded through this public money. Public sector includes all sorts of government. That means the central government, state government, and local bodies also comes under public sector, and it provides basic goods or services that are either not or cannot be provided by the private sector. So public sector includes all sorts of government, central, state, and local, and it also provides basic goods or services that are either not or cannot be provided by the private sector. Public sector is important for both social and economic development of a country. So, public sector, as it is under the control of the government, it is very important for both the social and economic development of any country. Public sector also provide education and health institutions to socially and economically or educationally backward people. That means the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and the backward communities to make them come forward. So public sector, apart from all these features and benefits, they are also providing educational and health institutions to socially, educationally, and economically backward people to make them come forward. So, in short, we can say that the public sector paved the way for the overall development of the economy as a whole. So, public sector, it paved the way for the overall development of the country's economy as a whole. That means we want to give, because of all these, we want to give a lot of importance to the public sector. Next topic we are going to study is about the private sector. What are private sectors and what are the main features of private sector? What are private sectors? Private sectors are those sectors in which the ownership of assets and delivery of services were in the hands of private individuals or companies. So once again, what are private sectors? Private sectors are those sectors in which the ownership of assets and delivery of services were in the hands of private individuals or companies. Examples of private sectors are small and medium sized business, retail marketing, accountancy, tax consultancy, then TISCO. What is TISCO? Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, Amazon, Reliance Industries. So once again, examples of private sectors are small and medium sized businesses, retail marketing, accountancy, tax consultancies, then TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, Amazon, Reliance Industries. Activities in the private sector are guided by profit motive. So we already studied that activities in the public sector, they are guided only for service and not for any profit motive. But here in private sector, all the activities are guided only for a profit motive. There is no participation of central government or state government in private sectors, and it is controlled by independent management. That's why the people in this private sectors also, the workers in the private sectors also, they are facing a lot of problems because these sectors are not under the control or participation of any types of government, and it is controlled 100% independent management. Next topic we are going to study is importance of public sector. When we are comparing the private and public sector together, we are giving a lot of importance to the public sector. Why we are giving a lot of importance that we are going to study in this area? Public sector is having some importance compared to private sector because some services like basic services are in need of society as a whole, which the private sector cannot afford at reasonable cost. In this area, it is the duty of the public sector to provide these basic services to the population at reasonable cost. For example, selling electricity at the cost of generation may push up the cost of production also. So many small scale industries cannot afford it and they were forced to shut down. In this area, it is the public sector who can overcome all these problems and support the small scale industries. So one example to show the importance of public sector is the selling of electricity, because at the cost of generation it may push up the cost of production, but it will affect the small scale industries, but because they cannot afford that much of high cost of this electricity. So it is the duty of the public sector to overcome all the problems and to support the small scale industries by selling them this electricity at a very low cost. Similarly, in order to safeguard food security and to overcome poverty of our government through public sector took various measures like the minimum support price given to the farmers, then the buffer stock, then the public distribution system, which includes ration shops to safeguard food security in our country. In this way, the government can support both farmers and consumers. So, in order to safeguard food security in our country and in order to overcome the poverty and famine problems of our country, to just secure full food security to the poor people, that means the below poverty line people in our country, our government through this public sector took various measures like minimum support price, buffer stock, public distribution system, which includes ration shops, everything to support both the farmers and the consumers. At the same time, Some activities like providing health and education facilities to the public is the primary responsibility of the public sector. Running proper schools, providing quality educations, particularly elementary education, is the duty of the public sector. So once again, some activities like providing health and education facilities to the public is the primary responsibility of the public sector. For example, running proper schools, providing quality educations, which includes the elementary education. So all these are the main duty of the public sector. At last, public sector also want to take care of the human development programs like availability of safe drinking water, housing facilities for the poor, and food and nutrition programs, then overcoming malnourishment and decreasing the level of infant mortality rate. Also they want to, that means the public sector want to provide some various services which is very important for the population. So finally, it is a duty of the government through the public sector to safeguard and support the poorest and the most ignored regions of the country. In this chapter, Sectors of Indian Economy, we studied about the various divisions of sectors of Indian economy. Like the first, we studied about the primary, the secondary, and tertiary sector. Then we studied about the organized and unorganized sector, and at last, we studied about the private and public sector. Dear children, watch this video very carefully. Note down all the important points explained in the video and read your textbook 3 or 4 times. Okay, thank you.